Yeah, for sure. I thought yesterday was really good. Mostly just mentality, Nelly. The two home games prior. Obviously that took was a little bit of hit to the momentum that we had built up. Having won 5 of 6 and playing so well, and we had scored in the 80s. I think it was either 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 in that stretch. So it can take a little bit to recover when the status quo changes all of a sudden, and that that's what I like most about yesterday. Yeah, we defended really hard. There's a couple areas that we didn't take care of well enough, but our mentality was really good, and we defended really hard. So I thought yesterday was great from that standpoint, and gives us a chance to have that bounce in your step that you need to have when you go to the conference tournament.
What are your thoughts trying to beat a Evansville team for the third time this year, and also about the late start?
Yeah, the all the situations are different when you're talking about playing a team for the third time, right? And in this case, we've gotten them both times, so beating them for a third time. The first game was early January. Yeah, the second game was I think about a month ago now, around there. Right? Sometimes we have had it where you play twice in the last 3 weeks of the season, you turn around and see them again. Right? These ones have been spread out enough that I don't know that it's really going to be a factor in this one. Just because we haven't seen each other for quite a while. So I think for our guys, it's going to feel like, we haven't seen these guys in a while. And I think that's a good thing when it comes to the third time around with the team. Late start, that's different. But the road trip to Murray and Belmont, the Murray game was 9 o'clock Central. Belmont was 8 o'clock Central. So about 3 weeks ago, we played about that same time. So I think that'll be fun.
This, every year it seems like team can get hot and win this. So, but this year seems far different. 3 games separated second through eighth.
Yeah.
And 2 games third through eighth. I mean, it really feels like this is anybody's tournament. You can't say that these guys are.
Yeah, I've talked about it with with the coach or two in the league here the last couple weeks. I talked about it a little bit this morning on the call, the tournament call with the media. The teams that had guys back and were picked in the top half and were supposed to be good ended up being pretty good. And Belmont being the best, I think Belmont has proven that they're just a little bit better than that group that we're talking about, right? I think they've earned that, and I think that they have proved that they are the best team in the league. But then you go to the next 7, right? When you go second through eighth right now. And what I talked about this morning was, Bradley had guys back and they've been good. We had a lot of guys back. Belmont had guys back. Murray did a great job putting that team together. Southern Illinois, I know, felt good about their team. They had an injury to their point guard, which kept them out of the race for the majority of it, just because he was hurt on the front side, during the first 10 games. But then the 2 UIC and Valpo, they were picked in the bottom half, and they did a great job. So now all of a sudden you've got 8 teams instead of the league's always had it's 4 or 5. And sometimes 2 or 3 are a little bit better than the next 2 or 3, right? I mean, that's what we're used to, right? But that's right. This year UIC and Valpo changed that, right? Like I said, the teams that were supposed to be good were pretty good, right? And Belmont was the best of us. But then you had those 2 that put together good rosters, right? And they changed it, right? So instead of a 5 or 6 team race, those 2 made it more of an 8-team deal.
Coach, you have going to the year, the veteran team, pick finish second, but you go in now just as a 6 seed. How do you respond to the critics who said maybe this team maybe underachieved?
Yeah, I guess, boy, I've been doing this long enough that hasn't factored into into my thought process for a long time. I think when I was, maybe in my first year or two or three, I would think about that a little bit. But man, it's been a long time since I've thought about that piece of it. Okay, in terms of what people may be saying. So I haven't paid attention to that in a long time. So it's just not something I talk about. Now there's some parts that I talk about with our players, right? Just so that they understand that it's something that I have found fairly fascinating. And oftentimes it's those that, to use your word, critics. They're really good after something great happens about saying, "Oh yeah, I told you so. I knew that was going to happen," right? And they're really good when something doesn't go well about saying the same thing. "Oh, I knew that we weren't going to be able to do this. I knew we weren't going to be able to do that." I don't have time for that. I said to Deb on the radio yesterday that I said I wish there was a way that because we've got great fans, like we have a big group of people, right, here with all of our teams, but I'll just talk about our team. A big group of people that are with our guys all of the time, right? But I just wish there was a way, maybe Pete can come up with it. Pete's a smart guy. That once you've made it known that you're jumping off the bandwagon, that you can't get back on. Can we get that done, Pete? Can we find a way to, you guys following me? The ones that want to be, that are so brilliant, when something isn't going quite right. And want to be critical of the guys, and I don't care what they say about me. But I've been fascinated by that. So I could continue. Like there's other parts of this that I could continue. That it's a long way of saying I don't pay any attention to it. So what I do know is we won 5 of 6, and we were playing our best basketball, and we got beat 2 games at home. And you got to take care of your home court. That's on us. That's on me as our head coach. Like, you got to take care of your home court. But we were playing our best basketball the first couple weeks of February, and that's when you want to be playing your best, right? And continuing to make those strides, and the guys picking up momentum and the confidence and the trust. Like, all of that has happened with this team. We got beat twice at home. That's on us, right? That's part of this season now. So, and I think it's a real positive for our players, to go through some of these things, right? Now, it's a lot more fun to do what Belmont did, right? We've done that before, and that's a lot more fun for the players, starting with the players, right? And for our fans and the people that really support us. Yeah, it's way more fun. It's way better for all of us. But the way in which these guys have handled the little bit of ups and downs, we had both parts this year outside of our control with the injuries to Max and RJ for about a month, and then Tristan getting hurt right after that. You don't have control over that piece. How you respond to it, you've got control over, and the guys have been great there. We did have control over the 2 home games, and we didn't get it done, right? So that's part of it, right? But you also have to respond to that, right? Because you had some control over those 2 basketball games. So I think it's great for young people to go through this. It's challenging, right? And they learn a lot about responding, right? And being resilient enough to, as you said in your question, what about what some of the critics, if you will, or what people are saying now that you've underachieved or what? I don't have any idea because I don't read that stuff. But these guys have responded great, okay? So, I mean, all you had to do was watch yesterday, to know what the guys are, if they stuck their head in the sand or if they're going to fight and get ready for St. Louis and put their best foot forward. So, man, I'm having a blast with these guys, and they've played great. Right?
Coach, postseason basketball is always a next level of intensity.
Yeah.
What's that mean with what do your kids got to do to get to that next level?
Yeah, it's fundamentally you've got to be so good in these games, right? Because everything's magnified. Whether it's a blackout and a rebound, or communicating on a switch or a transition defensive play, like everything is magnified now because of the intensity that you're talking about, okay, and what's on the line. So I've always felt like fundamentally you've got to be even sharper. Okay? No matter what level you're at going in, you got to find a way to ramp that up. Okay? And that's two things from yesterday that we've done better, here over the last 3 weeks, and we're going to need to do better on Thursday night. Is I guess I just mentioned them. We're going to have to rebound better. we missed on some blockouts yesterday, and some ones that were pretty straightforward. Okay? And that's not you're not going to stick around very long in tournament play if you're not blocking out and getting heavy contact and fundamentally being really, really sound and creating that rebounding arc. And we didn't do that yesterday. And then communication on some switches. Like there's so much more of that in today's game. There's so much more guard-to-guard screening. There's so much more skill on the floor. So you've got a 4-man that can shoot it, even a 5-man that's really skilled. Like Evansville, the team we're playing, their guys up front, Casey and Hughes, like those guys they're really skilled. So now you got everybody setting a ball screen. You got everybody running out of a ball screen and ghosting it and getting behind you. And there's so much more of that in today's game that the communication has to be, man, it's got to be great. It's got to be early, and each situation calls for a little something different. So those for this team right now, those are the two things that we have got to do. We've got to do a little bit better Thursday in order for us to be down there for a while.
Tristan back in the starting lineup and Ben
Yeah.
to the bench. Is that how you can move forward, or is it
Yeah.
like game by game?
Yep. No, Tristan will stay in that starting lineup. I talked to Benny about it when Tristan came back from the injury that had him out for the month, and we were going to do it right when he got back, but then he sprained his ankle. Tristan did. So, and then that lingered for about 10, 12 days. So, Benny and I sat before practice and had a great conversation. I told him what I was thinking, and he asked a couple questions, just the X's and O's part of it, and why I felt like it was a little bit better to have Tristan in the starting lineup and bring him off the bench, and just had a great conversation about it, and really appreciate his perspective on it. He obviously is one of our best players, and his willingness just to talk through it and say, all right, coach, if that's what you think is the best way for our team to play our best down the stretch, but then also give us the best chance is to put Tristan in that starting lineup. And I come off the bench. He said, I trust you, and I'm gonna do whatever you think is best. Like a lot of maturity on his part, a lot of trust on his part. Because when you're one of the best players and you've been in the starting lineup, and then that change happens later in the season, that can be challenging for guys. So I really appreciate Benny's approach to it, and what it does. The two things I told Ben and I talked to our team about. Physically, we're much different when Tristan is in the game with Will. When the two of them are in together, defensively we're better when Tristan's on the floor. Whether he's in with Will or he's at the 5, we're a better defensive team when Tristan's on the floor. So the physicality and the toughness and that piece of it, this team really needs that from Tristan. I've talked about that before. And then in terms of having Benny be the one to slide out of there, he's got the ability to create offense at a higher level than Max and Leon. Max and Leon can get to double figures. We've seen that, and I think Leon's still averaging double figures, and we've seen Max make 5 or 6 threes. So very important what they do offensively. But Ben has the ability to create offense for himself and for you come off the bench with RJ and Gian, Kyle and Izzy, that group on the bench. Ben is the one that can create some offense, right? Whether he shoots it or he gets somebody else open. So those two basketball, specific to this team, but basketball reasons are why we made the change. And again, it's you can do those sorts of things when you got some older guys, but in particular when you got some older guys that trust you and are willing to sit down and talk about it and say, all right, you got it. I'm good. So I appreciate that from Benny.
Couple more. This might be off base, and I don't know if you can answer, but I think you mentioned a while back that Ben was seeking another year. Is that anywhere further along? Or?
It's moving along. Yeah, I don't have an update that would shed a whole lot of light on it, Nelly, but it is still in process. Yes, and we are still hopeful that he will be granted that extra year. Yeah.
And I think I read something. Hunter had his first career basket yesterday.
He did. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was neat. Yeah. Yeah, there was the I don't know if reaction or response from his teammates, and the coaches, and we had a good group of fans down there. We had a great group of parents and family, and we also had some friends and big time supporters from here in town that were there. So we had a really good group behind our bench, and when he made it, obviously he had a big smile on his face and looked over. But his teammates are celebrating, and that big group is standing up, and including his mother, who was really excited and happy to see that going. I talked about it yesterday. Maybe you saw it. He doesn't. I said this yesterday too. Like he's not going to like it when I talk about it or talk about him. But a lot of the Cedar Falls teams, right? When he's playing quarterback and Trey's playing receiver, and they were ranked in the top 5, and his senior year, and he gets hurt and misses they got a great chance to play in the Dome in the Final Four. And they got a great chance to win the state basketball tournament. They get beat by 2 in the quarters, and if he's healthy, they're going to win that game, and then you got to win 2 more. And then that track team that he was on won the state title his junior year, the team he was a part of. And so he had some buddies on that team that he ran with. Well, he tears his ACL, so he misses all of that as a senior. And then he gets here, and about 8 months later, he tears it again. So it's about 2.5 years, 2 knee surgeries, and then just the biggest piece is that you miss your senior year of stuff. That's hard. And then he's done a great job. Him and Chase both. Him and Chase have done such a great job, and they mean so much to our program and to this team in terms of their leadership and what they do with the scout team. And Hunt really runs that scout team, and he's had an impact on Jalen, who's a freshman. They play different positions, but him and Jalen are on the scout team together, and Hunt's had a real impact on Jalen, who's a freshman in our program. So there's just there's so much more to it. Like it's not the that he made a 3. Like he makes them in practice all the time against the top 8, 9 guys, right? I mean he's really practiced well for us. So it isn't right that he isn't capable or wow, he made one. Like, and I know that's not what what you were getting at, but it's all of the other stuff, what he's meant to his teammates, and and what his teammates mean to him, and what this program means to him, and to be able to celebrate that. But in his case, it is a little bit of all of the 4 or 5 years combined, which seems like a lot for one basket. But that's the way it played out, and it was really cool. And really cool for me as his dad, to be standing there, knowing obviously going through all that stuff, right? And just seeing what he's meant to this program. And he's a tough kid, competitive kid, so it's cool.
Is he going into coaching? He's following dad's footsteps?
Yeah, he's thinking about high school teaching and coaching. Yep, about doing it at that level. Yep. Yeah, he'll be a good one. He'll be a good one. Yep.